Hey all, welcome to Simply QA. In this session, we will be learning about the principles of software testing. Before going into the actual principles, let's understand why these principles are important in software testing. So, as a QA, it is always our responsibility to deliver a high quality product that is maximum number of defect free one, right? So if a particular QA is following these principles, it will be really helpful for them to achieve the high quality products with less number of defects. So let's see the principles one by one. Our first principle is like testing show the presence of defects, right? So in this title itself we could able to understand that obviously the purpose of testing is to find the presence of defects. But the question is like whether the entire application is 100% defect free. No, right? Not no any tester can't able to give the testing report like this application is 100% a defect free one. Let's understand this with an example. Assume your manager is asking you to test an developed application, and at the end you should be able to provide a feedback and the execution report like this application is completely tested and it is 100% defect free. So this is the task which is given to you. So as a QA, will you able to do that? No, right? So basically we can't able to quantify the number of bugs which is present in the application, which means will you able to say there are 100 defects in this application and you have found out 90 out of 100 defects? No, right? Any tester can't able to find the total number of defects which is present in the application. So this is the like motto of this principle. Like 100% is not testing is not possible, whereas maximum testing is possible, and we can find out the maximum number of undiscovered defects. But no one can find out 100% defects which is present in the application, right? Our second principle is exhaustive testing is not possible. So guys, as a QA, we need to understand this and understand this principle. Like always, optimal amount of testing is possible, whereas exhaustive testing is not possible. Let's see it with an example. So consider you have to test this password input field, and the only thing they have mentioned here is like it must be of at least 6 characters. So as a tester, what we will do, we will write few optimal test cases, right? So we will check whether that password field is accepting 6 characters, and it is showing error when we when we give the characters less than 6, right? And also we will test other combinations, like if it is more than 6 characters it should also accept it, and we will test it with a numeric value, special characters, and combination of both numeric and special characters, right? So these are the examples of the optimal test cases. Let's see what actually is exhaustive testing considered. We have many alphabets, many special characters, and lot of numbers, right? So is it possible to test each and every character with each special character and with each number? No, right? So if we do that, this permutation and computation will go around somewhere. For the single password input field, practically it is not possible to test all these permutation and combination number, right? So we have 26 characters, and we have around more than 20 special characters, and we have lot many numeric number. So assume or imagine if we give the permutation and combination of all these characters, numerics and special characters, right? It is not possible for a person to do the testing for all these permutation and combination. So this is called exhaustive testing. So we need to understand like optimal testing is always possible but not exhaustive testing, right? Let's see about our next principle, that is absence of errorism myth. Let's see it with an example. So assume you are testing a web-based e-commerce application, and there you have tested sign-in module. That is, once user entered their phone number, they could able to successfully purchase and placed order, which means other modules are also working fine. But exclusively for the sign-in module, you have put a lot of efforts to find to write a number of test cases, and you have found few defects, and all those defects are fixed, and now it's working perfectly fine, and the application as well got released, right? So once it is released, there is a high severity and high priority bug arises, stating that user could able to only log in with their mobile phone but if user gives email ID, they are blocked at sign in page itself. So now as a tester, you got doubt in the design requirement, that is user requirement, and you are referring the actual user requirement document. So if you could see in this document, here there is two option mentioned, right? Enter mobile phone number or email, which means the if user entering either the mobile phone number or the email, they should able to log in successfully. But whereas the actual sign in page which developers developed, right, here only there is an option for the user to enter their mobile phone number. So the takeaway here is like, as a tester, we have found a number of defects and we have optimally tested the sign in module, but at the end it is of no use, right? Because there is a major miss in the user requirement, that is user couldn't able to log in with their email, which is missed in the designing phase itself, right? So this is the takeaway of this particular principle. Finding n number of defects is not useful even if the application doesn't meet the requirement, right? So to solve this issue, we have one more principle called early testing. We will see it in the next slide. Let's see about early testing principle. Let's again consider the same example. So previously there is miss of email field, right? While developing, we have missed the email field from the user requirement, and the application got released as well. So let's see what are the consequences of this particular miss. Obviously, user could not able to log in with their email ID, and we have to give one separate release after including this email field. Developer team need to work on that for a particular time, and also testing team need to test this module thoroughly again by repeating the test cases, and as well as we need to test the other modules such as search, placing the order, and purchase and placing the order, right? At least we need to do a kind of regression for other modules as well, which takes double the amount of effort and time which we actually spent earlier, right? So in order to avoid this, we need early testing. That is, the testing should start in the phase of software development itself. Assume if development team is developing a web-based e-commerce application, and this is considered this is very first module, that is sign in module, and they have missed this email field. If testing would have begun in that stage, we would have easily identified that this email field is getting missed by comparing it with user requirement, right? So basically here the testing should not happen once the entire application is developed, whereas it should happen in early phase of software development itself, so that we can avoid unnecessary defects as well in our application, right? Let's see about our next principle, that is pesticide paradox. Guys, if we are repeating same test cases for a particular module again and again, right, then the possibility of finding new bugs will get reduced. Let's see it with an example. That is, considered you are testing a payment page, that is especially a card payment page. So assume you have written a 50 set of test cases for verifying this first name, last name, card number, CVV, and all these card types, right? We have many card types, and this validity, right? And also for this cancel and submit button, and it's perfectly working fine, and it is got released in 1.1, right? So far it's good, perfect. So in release 2.2, they have introduced one more code type, that is visa code type. So assume if you are testing the same 50 test set of test cases for this 1.2 release as well, will you able to find any bugs which is related to this newly added payment type? No, right? So here the thing is, we need to revise and update our test cases as per the functionality which is introduced newly. So right. So this is the concept of this pesticide paradox. If these set of test cases which is written for 1.1 is tested for this release also, then obviously we will miss the bugs which is present in this new card payment type, right? So this is the particular aim of this principle, that our test cases need to be updated as per the new user requirement, right? So now let's see about our next principle, that is testing is context dependent. So guys, we can't test two unique application in same approach. For example, consider we have e-commerce application and banking application. Will you able to test both these application in one single approach? No, right? For example, as a tester, we will give more importance to user interface testing for e-commerce application. Whereas for banking application, we will give importance to user interface testing as well, but mainly we need to give importance to security testing and risk-based testing, right? Because banking applications will involve lot of money transfers. So security testing is obviously needed for those type of application. So here if you could see there is one particular approach for e-commerce application and a separate approach for banking application, right? Hence the testing is context dependent, right? So this is the takeaway, like each application has its unique thing and we need to be tested, it need to be tested in those ways, right? So our next principle is defect clustering. So as a QA, we will always have a mindset, right? Like the complex module will produce a large number of defects, right? But there is also another side. That is the smallest and easiest module can also produce lot of defects because while developing itself, since it, for example, consider search module and payment module, developer will give importance to payment module, right? Because it is a much of complex module, whereas search one is little easy and they will develop in a go, but there may be possibility of more defects in that search module, right? If you could see here, the search module contain 80 percentage of defect, whereas this payment module contains only 20 percentage of defect. So this principle states this, right? The complex module can produce less number of defects, whereas the easy module can produce more number of defects. And one more point to be noted here is like once the search module gets 80 percentage of defect, there is a more possibility of finding another set of defects related to the search module only because it already consists of higher number of defects, right? So these are the 7 principles of software testing. If you have any doubt, please let me know in comment section. Thank you.